Hello and welcome back to Bloodline, the taxonomy of fear, where we discuss what, if anything, makes a movie scary.
Today we'll be looking at disease horror in the movie Antiviral, which stars Caleb Landry Jones from Friday Night Lights. In it, he plays a sales rep for a company that sells viruses harvested from sick celebrities.
Yeah, I don't really care how famous or hot you are. I don't want George Clooney's hepatitis.
I know, super gross. This character has a side business where he steals some of the pathogens from the company and sells them on the black market. What about Jennifer Lawrence's hepatitis?
I mean, if anybody, it would be her, but no. Definitive no.
Zach Galifianakis?
God, no. Absolutely not.
Okay, maybe Zach Galifianakis.
I think we just got a personality profile on Jay.
So far, I've had all her diseases.
Must have been expensive.
Is there any way you could spread it?
Okay, so the criteria for a disease horror movie. How are we defining this, Jay?
All right, number one, you need to define the parameters of the disease.
Yeah.
As the audience, we need to know what are the vectors, what's the infection rate, what's the incubation, what are the symptoms, what's the mortality.
Yeah.
We need to know either from the very beginning or we learn with the protagonist of the movie.
Okay.
And the problem with this movie, the disease that he has doesn't ever really go anywhere. It's not defined, and I kind of started wondering, well, aside from vomiting blood, what else is involved in this disease?
Yeah, it kind of was just part of a very vague identity that prevailed throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, the disease is way too vague.
Yeah, and the second criteria is race against time. Somebody being indeterminately sick or just having a cough for a while, that's real life. In a disease movie where you're supposed to be horrified, you need to know that the clock is ticking. When that clock runs out, you're dead. And this movie, again, with the vagueness, kind of had a very strange approach to time. It was not really kept track of. You didn't really know how many days had passed. So it was, for me, I thought it was kind of satisfying because it was a little disorienting. Like, I didn't know if it was day or night, up or down, but it did kind of leave me a little curious as to when this person's life was gonna run out, you know?
Yeah. And finally, number three, sell the sickness.
Oh, yeah.
I once had an acting teacher tell me, your job is not necessarily to cry on stage, your job is to make the audience cry. And Caleb Landry Jones, in his performance, made me feel a little bit sick.
Yes.
He was really good. He's a little weird looking to begin with, a little bit unhealthy looking, which helped. But he was excellent at acting ill.
He put this movie on his back and ran with it. He was really fantastic. I loved the art direction, and it was really beautiful. But where it did slack, Caleb Landry Jones just picked it right back up again.
He did carry this movie. Hours of sleep lost after watching Antiviral. Jordan.
Well, disease movies are my kryptonite. So this one kept me up for, I'm gonna say, 2 hours afterwards because there were some holes in it, but ultimately the vibe of it really carried me through, and Caleb Landry Jones, again, just an outstanding performance. I was definitely a little jittery about what would be ravaging through my body while I slept that night.
I'm gonna say 10 minutes because I kept obsessing about how far into the future is this and what happened in the duration that made us go from wanting to look like celebrities to wanting to be infected by them. And then after 10 minutes of thinking about that, I just fell asleep. Horror movie survival lessons. Jordan, what did you learn?
Number one, thou shalt not steal. And yes, it is the 8th commandment, which is not generally a part of the horror movie code, but it was pretty much the only sin that Sid March committed in this movie.
Yeah, that's true. Number two, don't sell your body. Not even parts of your body, like blood tissue, muscle cells for vat meat. No, don't sell your body.
But number three, and this is huge, beware of Malcolm McDowell. This guy is bad news. It says on his IMDb page that he often plays outright villains. He's like the British Udo Kier. If you see either one of those guys walk into a room, you walk out of that room. There are certain red flags. Udo, Malcolm, Stellan Skarsgård, they show up on screen and you can pretty much know the ending because they're going to be the villain. They're going to be the bad guy.
You know, even if in real life Malcolm McDowell moved in next door, you just might want to consider selling your house.
Or start a neighborhood watch. Those are your two options.
It's a weird business, Sid.
Okay, what is your infectious video pick of the week, Jay?
I'm going to pick Blindness from 2008, about a contagious form of blindness. I liked this movie mostly because I couldn't finish the book and I wanted to know what happened at the end.
Like, couldn't finish the book because it was so bad, or?
Because it was so claustrophobic and it just made me feel anxious. And
okay, well that's good news.
The movie was a quick way to get through the narrative.
Well, I'm gonna go with a movie from last year called The Bay.
Oh my God, that's such a lame movie.
It's barely defensible, but I told you, it's disease movies,
Barely.
contagion movies, they just get me, they ruin me. This was like a found footage, like small creatures in a lake. I don't even remember where in the United States are taking over a small town. It's really bad, but it really freaked me out because the disease looks really gross.
Okay, so that's a peek into your psyche.
Oh God, I'm embarrassed.
All right, so that's it for this episode of Bloodline. Email us at bloodline@wired.com. We would love to hear from you. And as we like to say here at Bloodline, remember, it's
Just a movie,
movie.
but go to the doctor anyway.